Once, in a serene monastery nestled among towering mountains, two monks dedicated their lives to the study and practice of Zen. The elder, the old monk, was a wise and compassionate teacher known for his deep understanding of life's truths. His disciple, the young monk, was eager to learn, but often grappling with the complexities of the teachings. Their days were filled with meditation, scripture study, and quiet reflection. The rhythms of the monastery were simple yet profound, offering both solace and challenge to those seeking enlightenment. One warm summer day, the old monk and the young monk decided to journey down the mountains to visit a neighboring village. As they walked along a dusty path under the bright sun, their footsteps stirred clouds of dirt in the still air. The path eventually led them to a wide, swiftly flowing river. Standing by the riverbank was a woman, pacing back and forth with visible distress. Her eyes scanned the water, as if searching for an invisible solution. The old monk approached her with his usual calm demeanor and gently asked, "Is something troubling you, my dear?" The woman looked up, her face marked with worrying. "I need to cross the river to attend my son's wedding on the other side," she explained, her voice trembling. "But I cannot swim, and there's no bridge in sight. I don't know what to do." The old monk nodded in understanding. Without a word, he stepped forward, knelt slightly, and motioned for the woman to climb onto his back. Hesitant at first, she eventually accepted his help, and he carried her across the rushing water with steady, deliberate steps. The young monk followed closely, his mind racing with thoughts. Upon reaching the other side, the old monk set the woman down gently and offered her a kind smile. "Safe travels," he said, bowing slightly before resuming the journey with the young monk. The woman expressed her gratitude with teary eyes and hurried off to her destination, leaving the two monks to continue their path in silence. For a while, the only sounds were the rustling leaves and the chirping of distant birds. Yet within the young monk, a storm was brewing. Finally, unable to contain himself, the young monk broke the silence. "Master," he began hesitantly, "I don't understand. Our teachings are clear about avoiding physical contact with women, yet you carried her across the river without hesitation. Why?" The old monk stopped and turned to face his disciple. His eyes, calm yet piercing, held a hint of amusement. "Oh, young monk," he said with a gentle smile, "I carried the woman across the river and left her there. But it seems you have been carrying her in your mind ever since." The young monk's steps faltered as the weight of his master's words sank in. In that single moment, he understood the depth of the lesson. The true burden was not the act itself, but the lingering attachment to it. While the old monk had acted out of pure compassion, the young monk had allowed judgment and confusion to cloud his mind, burdening him with unnecessary thoughts. As they continued walking, the young monk reflected deeply on his master's wisdom. He realized how often he clung to things past mistakes, imagined grievances, and worries about the future. These mental burdens weighed him down far more than any physical load ever could. The lesson stayed with the young monk throughout their journey and beyond. He began to notice how frequently he carried unnecessary baggage in his thoughts. A small criticism would replay in his mind for days, or a fleeting worrying about the future would grow into an all-consuming fear. He recognized how these attachments prevented him from experiencing life fully in the present moment. The old monk's words echoed in his mind like a gentle mantra. Let go. Each day, the young monk practiced releasing the mental burdens that held him captive. When an unkind word from another monk lingered in his thoughts, he reminded himself to let it pass, just as a cloud drifts away in the sky. When he stumbled in his studies or faltered during meditation, he chose not to dwell on his mistakes, but instead focused on learning and moving forward. Gradually, the young monk's heart grew lighter. He began to see the world with greater clarity and compassion. He marveled at how the teachings of Zen were not merely abstract concepts but practical tools for navigating life's challenges. By letting go of what no longer served him, the young monk found he had more energy to devote to what truly mattered. living each moment with mindfulness, kindness, and an open heart. Months passed, and the young monk's transformation became evident to those around him. He no longer reacted impulsively to frustrations or held on to grudges. Instead, he approached each situation with the calm and wisdom he had learned from the old monk. One day, a young novice at the monastery approached the young monk with a troubled expression. "Brother," the novice said, "I've made a mistake in my chores, and I fear the abbot will be angry. I can't stop thinking about it." The young monk smiled gently, recognizing himself in the novice's worrying. "Do you see that tree outside?" he asked, pointing to an ancient oak in the monastery courtyard. The novice nodded. "Imagine you're carrying a heavy sack," the young monk continued. "The longer you hold on to it, the heavier it feels. But if you set it down at the base of that tree, you'll find your arms are free to carry other things or nothing at all. Your worrying is like that sack. You can choose to set it down." The novice looked thoughtful, and the young monk's words planted a seed of understanding. In that moment, the young monk realized how far he had come in his own journey. The wisdom he had gained was not just for his benefit, but also for guiding others along their paths. Years later, the young monk stood in the same spot by the river where the old monk had carried the woman across. The old monk had since passed on, but his teachings remained alive in the young monk's heart. Looking at the rushing water, the young monk reflected on the profound simplicity of that day and how it had shaped his life. The river flowed tirelessly, just as life did, carrying away all that it touched. The young monk smiled, understanding now that the river was not merely a boundary to cross but a reminder of life's impermanence. Everything comes and goes, and true freedom lies in the ability to let go and move forward. With a heart full of gratitude, the young monk bowed toward the river and continued his journey, each step a testament to the wisdom imparted by the old monk. He carried no burdens, only the lightness of an open mind and the clarity of a heart attuned to the present moment.